The last Mythic banner for year 3 has arrived. This monthly banner figures a starting 8% 5-star focus rate, with the non-focus 5-star rate being set to 0. That means any 5-star units you get are guaranteed to be one of these 12 heroes. Not a bad time to get any new 5-stars, but if you only want one, it may not be as easy. With the 3rd anniversary coming in a couple days, I would recommend holding off on summoning until we find out more about the celebration. Usually there are some really good banners that pop up, so if you want to be smart with your orbs, then a little bit of waiting can go a long way. Now for the rest of this video, we'll take a look at our new Mythic Hero and briefly cover the 11 other heroes on this banner. Let's get started. Better late than never, Leif from Book 3 has finally joined our side. We've fought against him for a whole year, so you should have an idea of what to expect, but like Thrasir, Leif does come with a few new tricks. He is still an infantry swordsman and is an anima mythic hero that grants bonus speed. Leif is the same element as Thrasir, so that's pretty neat. At the time of making this video, I don't have his official stats, but since Leif's been an enemy, we can look at what his last stat values were in the story. For Thrasir, all of her stats were the same, except she got an additional +2 speed, so I think for Leif, it's safe to say that his official stat values won't be too far off. For Leif, he had 42 HP, 37 attack, 30 speed, 34 defense, and 28 resistance. That 42 HP does match what he has in the trailer. I definitely think this is close to what his actual stats will be, and it's something similar to Itsuki: high base attack, okay speed, and then decent HP defense and resistance. Once we look at his skills, I actually think Leif will be a pretty decent unit. So for Oath skills, our man gets Distant Counter, very nice, great skill for general purpose content, and you can't really go wrong with having it. Leif also comes with Times Pulse 3, which grants -1 special cooldown at the start of the turn if the unit special is at its maximum value. Another great skill, and these two skills make Leif fantastic in terms of fodder. You can inherit both Distant Counter and all 3 levels of Times Pulse in one go. For his unique weapon, Leif has Sokvabecker, and I'm definitely not going to keep saying that mess. It's a 16-might sword that requires Leif to be within 3 spaces of an ally. If this occurs, Leif gets +4 to all stats during combat, and he gets a guaranteed follow-up attack. However, after combat, should Leif have made an attack, the nearest ally to Leif will take 20 damage. We've seen this sword for a whole year, and it's definitely got a good ability at the cost of Leif's teammates' HP. A general stat boost is great, and getting to make a follow-up attack is solid since I don't expect Leif to be a speed demon. It's also useful for both the player phase and the enemy phase, since Leif doesn't have to run quick riposte to pair with Distant Counter like many units do. Having high base attack plus getting more attack and a follow-up is pretty solid for player phase initiations, and we've seen Leif with Deathblow 4 in the main story. In terms of the 20 damage for Leif's allies, this can be useful if you have the right teammates. For example, Desperation users would not mind taking that huge amount of damage. However, since Leif is an anima mythic hero, you will have to be careful of using him in your defense teams. Leaving him next to another tank won't be great since you don't want a tank to take 20 damage. It can open up room for Wings of Mercy type shenanigans though, so again, it's not a purely bad thing. For his unique special, Leif has Open the Future. For those of you who know about New Year's, Duo Alphonse, and Sharena, this is the same unique special. If you haven't played through Book 3, then there will be some spoilers. Basically, throughout the book, we find out that Leif is actually another Rhodes Alphonse that failed to stop Hell, hence why he gets the same special. Open the Future is on a 3 cooldown and boosts damage by 50% of Leif's defense stat, and it also restores 25% of the damage dealt. This is a bonfire special with a little bit of extra healing on the side. It's not a super broken special like Black Luna or Regno Astra, but it's very solid, and for a tankier build, the healing sustain is really nice. Open the Future is great with Times Pulse since it will be on a 2 cooldown every player phase, and this combos with Leif's new unique B skill. Deadly Balance is a new skill that checks to see if Leif has more than or equal to 50% HP or if he has a penalty on him. If either condition is met, then Leif is going to inflict -5 attack and defense on the enemy, and he gets special cooldown charge +1 per the foe's attacks. Alright, so first off, Deadly Balance is extremely easy to activate. Leif just has to be above 50% HP. If he is lower than that, then he has to be hit by a penalty of some kind, and important to note that he will not neutralize the penalty or anything. So yeah, I would definitely want to keep Leif healthy instead. The special cooldown charging effect is similar to Owain's Mistletoe, and it's not very common. Basically, it's like Heavy or Flashing Blade, but only when the enemy hits Leif. None of his attacks will get extra special cooldown. That may seem a bit odd, but it's okay because Leif has Distant Counter and Times Pulse. Open the Future is going to be on a 2 cooldown. Leif gets attacked by an enemy, they're going to charge Open the Future, and then Leif can immediately retaliate with it and get some healing back too. With Distant Counter, he can do this against anyone, and while he can't spam in every encounter like Duo Alphonse, he can do it every time the player phase comes around, since Time's Pulse will reactivate. We can't forget the in-combat debuffs, since -5 attack is great for Leif, and it stacks with his extra +4 defense and res from his sword. That's like taking 9 less damage, and if he comes with some balanced defense and res, Leif will make a great distant counter user. With the -5 defense, that's going to stack with the +4 attack boost for 9 extra damage for Leif. Really solid overlay of buffs and debuffs, and even without an offensive A skill, Leif can still deal some pretty good damage on the player phase with Deadly Balance active. Overall, Leif is looking pretty solid. I wouldn't say game breaking, but he should perform well if you want a unit that can do fine on both phases. Both his sword and Deadly Balance cater to the player phase and enemy phase engagements, and distant counter allows Leif to fight ranged foes, while Open the Future gives him the sustain to keep Deadly Balance going. If he can keep his somewhat balanced stat line, then I think a lot of people will be happy with him. He'll be similar to Itsuki, but obviously the 20 damage penalty on allies is the biggest drawback. Leif will probably not be great in situations where you need everyone on the team to fight, since 20 damage is pretty hefty. You also have to remember that Leif can damage multiple allies if they are the same amount of spaces away from him. So again, if you use him as a standard enemy phase tank, he really could just kill most of your unit's HP bars in 2 fights. That said, if you can manage the chip damage, Leif gets some really nice bonuses for himself, tons of bonus stats with a lot of extra damage combined with more tankiness. He can even get a follow-up attack plus faster specials when attacked by the enemy. I think he's solid in terms of combat. It's just how much problems will that large amount of damage to his allies cause. You might want to pair him up with some Desperation, Vantage, or Brazen users, and even a healer to offset those drawbacks. Moving on, we have 11 other heroes on this banner to talk about. Joining Leif in the red group is Legendary Eliwood and Female Byleth, already back from Smash Bros. For blue, we have Legendary Ephraim, Legendary Lucina, and Picnic Lucas. For green, we have Legendary Hector, Mythic Yoon, and Hilda. Last, Colorless has Legendary Leif, Kanagas, and Loki of all people. Not the greatest Mythic banner effort, but we do have some solid units and skills should you decide to summon. Starting with Leif, like mentioned before, even if you don't want him, he has some amazing fodder. You can give both Distant Counter and Times Pulse 3 to a single unit. Reminder, Times Pulse is an infantry only skill, but I do think it's a pretty fun skill that a lot of units can utilize. Next we have Legendary Eliwood, who is a crazy strong support unit. His Ardent Durando grants bonus doubler to the ally with the highest attack, which is just insane, and he can buff them up with Vision of Arcadia and his Rally skill. An absolute crazy supportive kid, and you can definitely have a lot of fun super buffing up a high attack unit. If you get extra copies of Eliwood, he has great fodder with Rally Speed and Perez Plus, Death Blow 4, and Cho Attack 3. He's a great unit to have in this group. Third, we have Female Byleth. She is very fast, being able to compete with some of the other fast Myrmidons, and Creator's Sword is a neat anti-fun kind of weapon. It has a slang effect but also no follow-up and the ability to stop extra special charging skills. Funnily enough, Leif has both of those effects. Byleth also comes with Ruptured Sky, which is not unique to them. It's a 2 cooldown special that grants damage based on the opponent's attack stat. Female Byleth also comes with Fury 4, Wrath 3, and even Attack Wave, all fantastic fodder skills. Very fun unit. I know people have been giving the 2 Byleths the new Close Call or Repel skills since they work well with the Creator's Sword's no having fun policy. If you want to try and get Leif this time, I would say it's a great opportunity since Eliwood and Byleth are great units with great skills as well. Whether you want any of these units, they all have really solid skills for inheriting. For the blue group, we have Legendary Ephraim. He's a Lance Cavalier that wants to be on the attack with Flame Segment granting follow-ups if he's surrounded by more enemies than allies. Solar Brace adds 30% healing when specials proc, and this can stack with Soul or Aether as well. Besides that, he doesn't have super amazing fodder skills. Sturdy Stance is alright, but you can find Fortified Defense on common 3 to 4 star units. Next we have Legendary Lucina, who is a blue archer. Her Thogan bow grants bonus stats against melee units, and with Swift Sparrow she can hit pretty hard. The real standout for Legendary Lucina is her Future Vision assist skill, which acts like swap, but Lucina then gets to move again. It's extremely powerful, especially on defense teams. Personally, one of the units that messes me up the most. If you like Distant Guard, we do have the Seal version, which stacks with the C skill version, so that's a neat skill to grab for support options. Last we have Picnic Lucas, who is a Lance army unit. He's slow and has low resistance, but he has good attack with one of the highest defense stats in the entire game. Luncheon Lance grants +4 attack defense on the enemy phase and is inheritable. His Aether Rates Often skill can grant up to +10 attack and defense, but I would personally not use it. It's just too unreliable since it depends on you taking out the enemy structures first. Unfortunately, blue is definitely the weakest showing this time. All 3 units are good themselves, but they do not offer a ton of fodder skill options. For the green group, we have Legendary Hector, who is an Axe Army unit. He is a pretty standard enemy phase tank, with Thunder Armats being able to stop a follow-up attack, and Vengeful Fighter getting Hector a ton of damage. Of course, he comes with distant counters, so instant prime fodder. Recently, we did get Momorti from the Tokyo Mirage Sessions banner, and she is very similar to Legendary Hector. If you wanted a green armor tank, she lacks distant counter and can't use Ostia's Pulse, but stat-wise, she can easily surpass Hector. I would still recommend Legendary Hector since Ostia's Pulse is great. Being able to give -1 special cooldown to all allies is a lot of fun. Next we have Mythic Yoon, who is a flying green mage. If she attacks an enemy with a penalty on them, she gains +6 attack and a follow-up attack thanks to Chaos Manifest. Very powerful ability. With Chaos named, Yoon can debuff foes within 3 columns centered on her if they have less resistance than her, plus she has Sabotage Res to inflict even more debuffs. I think she's a great unit for any team that requires debuffs to be activated, and I enjoy using her quite a bit. Last up is Hilda, who is an infantry axe unit. Hilda is a beast with high base attack and speed, plus she can get even more damage and become even faster. For Kugel can grant bonus attack and speed to allies if Hilda is near them and those allies have more defense than Hilda. It also can give Hilda herself +6 attack and speed if those conditions are not met. This synergizes with attack and speed solo, since if Hilda is all on her own, she gets +12 attack and speed. With no follow-up, you have to match Hilda's speed, and fast axe units are pretty uncommon, so she's a pretty great unit to have. I would say the green group is rather solid, 3 darn good units, and you have good skill fodder like distant counter, attack and speed solo, or sabotage res. Last we have the colorless group, and we start with Legendary Leif. He is a cavalry archer and is very powerful with really high base attack, combined with a bow that always attacks twice. Narinzio also gives Leif a Gale Force type special, and as a reminder, ranged units cannot normally use Gale Force, so this is pretty unique. Estrin grants -1 special cooldown on turn 1 plus a full heal, so it's nice for multi-map content. Attack and Res push 4 grants +7 attack and res when above 25% HP, so Leif can be very powerful, and I think he is a really strong legendary for both PvE and PvP content. He's a very nice archer to have. Next up is Kanagas, who is a colorless beast army unit, still the only beast armor in the game. Beast army units get distant counter when they transform, and that's great for Kanagas, who comes with distant defense 4. That's +8 defense and res against ranged foes, and you neutralize all their field buffs too. Kanagas is really good in the enemy phase, but his weakness is his player phase, which is pretty tame. He does have some great fodder skills as well. Last we have Loki, who is an infantry healer, one of the more offensive healers you can get. Loki can deal some decent damage since her staff has Wrathful Staff built in, and she has auto attack wave 2. Her staff applies a gravity effect on ranged units if they are within the same current direction as Loki, plus they have less HP than her. It's an interesting ability to have. Loki does also come with colorless dual infantry, so for those playing the arena metagame and want to bring someone like a healer, this skill can get those units a higher score. It just grants +5 HP otherwise in other modes. For Colorless, this isn't a bad group since Legendary Leif and Kanagas are very good units. Loki is kinda just there, but even she has her uses, and her dual skill is good for those wanting higher arena score. Overall, not a bad group of units, and if you are trying to get Leif, it's a great time since Red has a lot of good skills on hand. Another reminder that if you can wait just a few more days, you can see what the anniversary has to offer, and there will probably be some good banners showing up to celebrate. Hopefully we'll get a ton of orbs as well, so if you are going to summon, now isn't a bad time. Let me know your thoughts on Leif or the banner as a whole in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.